Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My story is one of warning to any one of you that gets too close to the enemy. In November 2008, a retiring judge in Cardiff we had mutual respect, allowed me to do an abuse of process application on the South Wales Police for disclosure. For 18 years, I have been trying to get compensation for 10 years of harassment, where they have lost 120 charges. They've won 12. And in February of last year, the Chief Constable was made to sign a sworn affidavit to confirm that court cases never happened in South Wales, and that they did not break into my surgery with Sergeant Rowe and 2 lorry loads of police officers to put a police inspector's daughter back into a flat with a drug dealer above my operating theatre. I knew things were serious. I started to write my witness statement, which was 64 pages. And as I signed it, the police helicopter was above my house, and I went out, and my wife and I were drinking tea on a Sunday afternoon, the 21st of June last year, and I said, I think somebody wants to talk to me, because the police cars were queuing up outside the house, and all of a sudden they were into reverse gear, crash, and they reversed away and disappeared. I said to my wife, I think I'd better go back to France. I don't want to be arrested in front of my pretty old 10-year-old daughter. And next morning at 8:15, I took my daughter to the friends, and the police came in through the hedge, over a wall, cars, guns. I'm arrested. The story is this. The magistrates gave me freedom. We know you, Mr. Kirk, and I said I wouldn't miss a court case for all the money in the South Wales Police Fund. I had been charged with possession of a machine gun and the sale of a machine gun, each carrying a mandatory prison sentence of 5 years. Inside the prison, I was soon before my first judge. 10 judges refused me bail. Each time they used a different excuse. Each time I knocked them down and produced evidence to show that their argument was ultra vires. There was some information that was totally false. Because I was in hospital, in the prison, I was soon approached by a psychiatrist. I knew that they rely on you running out of steam. It's called treacle treatment. I used to go to the Privy Council. I've been to the Privy Council more times than anybody you know on petitions from a dependent territory. And as a veterinary surgeon, I've been there a lot of times, being the last profession. So my arguments with their lordships are history. I've done over 50 judicial reviews applications in this, down the road at that Rogue's Palace. Getting back to my story that must frighten you. My 64-page statement was handed when I was arrested as my defense, that I'd had police surveillance for over 18 years. And I can prove it. They wanted to serve the Gulag card on me. They had no intention of taking me to court for a machine gun case, because in the rule of law, they knew I'd beat them. It's too technical to go into now. And they pushed lawyers on me, coming into my cell, coming into the police prison, trying to get me to be legally represented. And I nearly crumbled. I nearly crumbled. But then they played the Gulag card for real. And they served a psychiatric report on the Crown Court judge on the 7th of August. And without the psychiatrist even examining me, seeing me to examine me, I was sectioned under Section 35 of the 83 Mental Health Act with the view of sending me to Broadmoor. All they wanted was one more signature from a psychiatrist. This is the seriousness of what I'm here for. They knew that in law I'm due for compensation for 10 years of police harassment. The Chief of Police had signed a false affidavit, which under the 31 section of the CPR, etc., Section 5 of the Fraud Act, is it? Or 3, is it? Contempt of court. All these things mounted up, and I knew that my life wasn't worth a lot. So when I was in prison, I knew I was going to somewhere for good. And the psychiatrist, after the 3 months, then went to the judge, and an old client of mine, a veterinary surgeon who had, I believe it was her, that switched on the tape recorder in Cardiff Crown Court, and I have paid for that transcript. And there is the prosecutor telling the judge that the psychiatrist believed that I had a brain tumor. I was therefore not fit to defend myself. Yes, they admitted that I could I could stand trial. That means I had capacity. But I must use a barrister to act for me. And the judge said, but we need the second psychiatrist's signature. This is under Section 41, to send you to Broadmoor for life. Now, while I was in the Broadmoor equivalent of the Caswell Clinic in Bridgend, I met young boys, 35-year-olds. Roger, if you see my letter to him on my website, he'd been in Broadmoor for 10 years. I learnt an awful lot. And that is the way one or two of you are going to go, I warn you. If any of you get too close to the enemy, they will play the Gulag card. And I've come out by the skin of my teeth because of my website and because of my friends. Because of my friends. Janet Criswell, this chap. There are people around here. Patrick Cullinane, Paul, Sheeda. They're all over the world. Psychiatrists, you do not realize how frightened I was in that psychiatric hospital. And Maurice Kirk and none of our Kirks get frightened, except in such strange circumstances. I'm sorry.